So you may have noticed that along with this lecture is a zip file for you to download, and if you download that, it's called the ejl_powerpack.zip right here. And what I've done is I've put together a collection of all the custom tools that I use when I'm working and wrapped them up for you to use too. When I put this class together, I was considering not using any hotkeys at all, just so you could learn the base program. But I really don't think that's necessary. If you can get an edge using different tools, I think you should do it. And there's really no risk of you ever not having these tools because, as I'll show you later, it's very easy to take your preferences with you whenever you want. When I was a student, they told me that I should learn just the Maya hotkeys because that way if I went to a studio or I went into a computer lab at the school that didn't have my preferences, I wouldn't be completely lost. But if you have a thumb drive and access to a USB port, or even if you have the internet on whichever computer you're using, you could email yourself your preferences and you'd always have them. So there's really no risk. And like I was saying before, it's so important to develop a system of working that's fast, quick, and efficient for you. Because if you're working with just the standard hotkeys, you'll be taking much longer than the person next to you. And if it's your ambition to get a job in this industry, it's important to be quick at what you do and efficient, not wasting time when you don't have to. So if you double-click the zip file, you'll see there's 3 folders and a little how-to install file. So this will outline how to install these preferences on your computer if if it doesn't make sense from what I'm going to tell you, but we're going to go through this so you can learn how to do it yourself. So as you can see, I'm using a Windows platform, a Windows operating system, and it may be slightly different for you depending on what operating system you're using. So the other 2 possibilities are OS X, which is on the Mac platform, Apple computer or whatever, and the other one is with Linux or Unix. So the first thing we need to do is you need to find where your preferences are stored. And I provided this link for you. This will take you to the Maya help documents from the Autodesk website. And you can see clearly where documents are stored for your computer that you're using. So if you're on XP, for example, or if you're using a different flavor of Windows, and additionally if you're using OS X, it's right here, and then Linux right here. So I'll go through it with Windows. I'm running Windows 7 64-bit version. And the first thing we need to do is open up this icons folder. And there's a whole bunch of XPM files here. These are just image files. It's kind of a primitive format from what I understand. But you just have to select them all and copy. And I'm going to open up a new Explorer window here. I'm going to navigate to my Maya folder. So if you go into your documents, when you install Maya, it creates this automatically. It's just Maya underscore letters. Lowercase letters. You double click that, and you should have only one version if you've only installed one version of Maya. So I've had many versions of Maya on this computer, including 2013, but the one I want to show you is with Maya 2012. But it doesn't matter. Whatever version of Maya you have, it should be the same file structure inside. So this is the file, this is the folder that you would copy to take with you if you were to take your preferences to a different computer. Just everything in here. If you drop it into this folder on whatever computer you're using, it will bring up all your preferences. So you double click that, and then you go into Prefs, and there will be a folder called Icons. And you just have to paste it right into here, which I won't do now, but okay. So then the second thing you need to do is go into the Scripts folder, and I've got some custom scripts here. I'll tell you more about what a script is in a second. You copy all these, and this time we need to go back up to the 2012 folder, and there will be a folder here called Scripts. And just drop all your scripts in here. Okay, now we need to go back again, and Shelves. So we need to go into Prefs, Shelves, and just copy this right into here. And I think that's it. Yep, that is it. So keep in mind that when you do this, you have to have Maya shut down. You can't have Maya running when you open this, or when you copy these files over. If you do, it may not work as you expect it to. But when you open Maya again, if you've copied all these things over to the right location, you open it up and you'll have a custom shelf sitting right here called EJL Power Pack. Okay, so this is Maya 2012 and this is my version of Maya, and what I mean by that is this is the way I work. This is the way I've configured the interface for my preferences. And actually what I want to do is take away the status line. So there's some things missing. The help line is gone because I don't really use that much anymore. And what else is missing? I guess that's actually it. But if you want to take any of these user interfaces away, you can just open up the hotbox by holding down the space bar. Then navigate over to this. This is called the right-hand quadrant. And then left mouse button, and you'll see this little marking menu pops up. And now I can turn things on and off just by using this. So if I want to turn off the shelf, which you remember is this interface right here, I can do so very easily just by making it go away. But it's not lost. All I have to do if I want to bring it back is go to it again, and it comes back. So I'm going to get rid of the status line because I actually don't work with that very much. There we go. And this is more the way I work. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the timeline too. Time slider. There we go. The reason I do that is because if I'm not using an interface like that, it's just taking up more of the pixels on my screen. And I would like to have as much screen space as I can while I'm working. So I'll just hit space and get rid of the outliner too. And I don't really use the toolbar very much, so I'm just going to get rid of that toolbar too. Oh, sorry, toolbox. There we go. So now I've got a really minimal screen and I can have more space to work with. So when you open your Maya, you'll have this EJL Power Pack, and this just has a whole bunch of tools that I use. And some of these tools already exist in Maya, but they're just kind of difficult to find, or they're cumbersome to find. So it's my preference to have them up here at my command. And actually, I have a lot more than that. These are the tools I normally work with, and as you can see, there's quite a few. But I've taken my favorite ones, or the most essential ones, and I've put them on this shelf for you. So although I may not work from this shelf myself while I'm modeling, I'll be using tools that are exactly the same, so you can follow along and use them too. Now it looks like some of the icons are broken right now, but I will go back and fix this. So by the time you install it, these will show up with little icons and pictures and things like that. Not sure what's going on, but as we go through these series, I'm sure you'll see they suddenly fix themselves after a couple lectures. So fear not. Now, you remember what I was saying, that it's such an inconvenience to have to move your mouse up and down just to select a tool? That's still true, even though I have the shelf that I use quite a bit. But I also rely very heavily on hotkeys. So a lot of these tools that I have here, I may never even click on because I've got them set to a hotkey, and I just have them up here just in case. But you may be wondering how you can set your own hotkey. The way to do that is to go to Window, Settings and Preferences, Hotkey Editor. And if you click that, the Hotkey Editor GUI will pop up, and you'll see what may be an intimidatingly huge list of commands. So we've got commands and then categories of commands. So if you click through these, you'll see all these different tools and actions pop up. And all of these are potentially assignable to a keyboard hotkey. But the thing is, there's way more of these commands than you'll ever have combinations of hotkeys for. So you kind of have to choose which ones you want to use. The way to set a hotkey is right here. So you can hit a hotkey. In this case, I'll just use A, for example. And you can query the key to see if anything's already assigned to it, which there is in this case. And then if there was nothing here, you could say assign. So I could say, well, I want to import something whenever I hit that button, and then you hit assign right here. And that's the way that works. So some of the hotkeys, as I work, I'll tell you which ones I'm using, and you can feel free to take some of the commands from here if you want and assign them. Real quick, the way to do that, if you want to ever edit these tools, you click on this little arrow right here, bring up the shelf editor, which is yet another GUI, a rather large one. And let's ignore this for now. And you can see that we have the tabs, the names of the tabs right here. So I've got my tools, surfacing, and so forth. And then these are the actual shelf buttons. So if I click on one of these, you can see that here's the location of the icon that we copied over before, the tooltip that comes over when I mouse over it, which isn't working right now for some interesting reason. And then you can click on this tab up here and actually see the command. So you remember I was saying that scripting and programming is kind of a big important thing in Maya. Well, this is an example of mel-script. So if I were to copy this and put it into the script editor that I showed you before, it would be exactly the same as if I executed it through the shelf or if I executed it through a hotkey. So that's just the fundamental underpinning of how this whole thing works. But to get back to assigning a hotkey, if I wanted to, for example, take this tool and put it on a hotkey, I would simply go down to User, and I know there's a lot of steps here, so bear with me. Go to User. This is the repository for the user's hotkeys that he or she wants to create. Click on New, so we're creating a new tool. And then I would select all. I'm hitting Control A. Now I'm doing Control C. Go to the Commands area and Control V to paste it in. And then I would need to give it a name. I usually use my 3 initials as a prefix. So something cool, hotkey. And then you just hit Accept. And then it now shows up in this list of commands that you can assign. So I could now assign this to the A key. And every time I hit A, it's going to execute this tool, which is the same one up here. So that's how that works. I know that's a lot of information kind of quickly. Feel free to review that if you want. Or if you want to, if this is all confusing right now, you can skip over this if you want and wait until you're more familiar with Maya to begin editing your hotkeys and things like that. As you work along with me and you create your own models, you will run into situations where you're using the same tool over and over again, and it will just become obvious to you that something needs to be done. You'll need to create a hotkey to save yourself time. There's all kinds of different combinations of hotkeys you can do. So although I said that you'll run out of hotkeys before you could use all these commands, there's many different combinations. So again, letter A is assigned to something, but Control A is assigned to something else. Likewise, Alt A has a different command, and Control Alt A does something else. Also, there's Control Alt capital A, so you'll be holding down Shift, Control, Alt, and A at the same time to run this tool. So A is a very popular key because it's right next to my left hand, so I've used all 4 of those possibilities. And you may want to do the same thing, but just so you know that these options are available to you.